entire Quran 3 times. 3 times he would recite the entire Quran. You know, we live in the age of internet, in the age of logic. And there'll be probably people sitting here now and thinking, you know what, this guy's coming out with Jack and Norris. This is a load of rubbish. How can it be that a person can recite the entire Quran 3 times? You know why? Because you and I, we look upon ourselves. We struggle. When we open the book of Allah, we struggle to read a page. It takes about an hour just to read a page. And then all of a sudden the shaitan attacks us. We start yawning and we put the book away. By the grace of Allah, this book is such a miracle that even in this day and age, here before you, you will have Hafizis of the Quran who can recite the entire Quran in 6 hours. And there are 24 hours in the day. So easily, even in this day and age, you will find people that can recite the entire Quran 4 times in a day. And when they would leave this world, you would see the nur of the Quran on their faces and their chest. Abu Ja'far al-Qari, when he died, they saw a circle of light type thing on his chest. Everyone that was present at the time of his death, there was not one that who doubted this, that this was the nur of the Quran on his heart. Abu Bakr ibn Ayyash, for 40 years of his life, my young friend, he recited the entire Quran every day. Every day. He's on his deathbed and his sister begins to cry. Why? Because now the angels of death will come. And after this it will be Munkar and Nakir. And the questions will be posed. Man Rabbuk, Man Dinuk, Man Hadh Rajul. And she's fearing for her brother. Okay, what will be his outcome? So confident he was at the time of his death. Allahu Akbar, this was the level of Iman. That he turns around and says to his sister, okay, why are you crying? There is no need for you to cry. Then he points to a corner in his house. He says, this is where your brother sat down. And he let go of his secret on his deathbed. Yeah, this is where your brother sat down. And he finished the Quran 18,000 times in his lifetime. When it came to fasting, you know, today you and I as youngsters, we compete with one another. You know, if your friend's got a house with 3 bedrooms, you need to have a house with 5 bedrooms. You know, if your friend is driving a Mercedes, you want to probably drive, you know, a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or something. You know, in those days they were competing with one another for the akhirah. Amr ibn Qais al-Mala'i, he fasted for 20 years. Dawood ibn Abi Hind came, and you know what? He fasted for 40 years of his life. And with such sincerity that his own family members did not even know that he used to fast. Why? Because he was a silk dealer. He would take his packed lunch from home every day from his wife. And on the way he would see poor people and he would give it as sadaqah. In the evening he would return and he would make iftar with his family. His family would think that during the day he's eaten with the marketeers. And the marketeers would think that he eats with his family every day. And he maintained this secret and he did this for 40 years of his life. The women were no different. The likes of Nafisa, she would fast by day and she would prostrate by night. Even on her deathbed, the day she left the world, she was fasting. And people are forcing her to break her fast. And she turns around and says to the people, Ke wa ajaba, I'm so surprised and shocked at you. Because I have been begging Allah for 30 years of my life. This was my dua. Ki Allah, I beg you, when you take the soul of Nafisa, take it in such a state that she is fasting for you. And it is so possible that Allah today will answer my prayer. And today you are asking me to break my fast. Hada la yakun. This is something that cannot happen. And she left the world in this condition, reciting the verses of the Quran. Kulli mamma fis samawati wal ardi kullillah. Kataba ala nafsi rahma. Say for whom is all that which is in the heavens and the earth. Say it is for Allah and Allah alone, who has taken it upon himself to be merciful to mankind. When it came to praying, you know, today you and I struggle to offer our 5 daily prayers. These people and believers and companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, taking from our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who himself will stand in prayer for so long, my young friends, that the blessed feet of Rasulullah would begin to swelter. The blessed feet of Rasulullah would begin to swelter and tears would flow from his eyes, so much so that the blessed beard of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would become wet. And he would dampen the earth on which he would prostrate. And when the Sahaba would see him like this, that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam is exerting himself. The Sahaba could not tolerate Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam suffering, and they would ask and pose the $1 million question, أَتَكَلَّفُ هَذَا يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ وَقَدْ غَفَرَ اللَّهُ لَكَ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ. Go, Messenger of Allah, why do you exert yourself? Why do you worship Allah so much when such is your condition that you are second to the Almighty Allah? Allah has elevated your status. Allah has forgiven for you your every sin. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would respond, "Oh my dear companions, if that is the case, that Allah has elevated the status of Muhammad, afala akun abdan shukura, should not this make Muhammad exert himself even more, that he should be a grateful slave to the Almighty Allah and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even more?" Taking this from our beloved Prophet Muhammad, the likes of Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, Sayyid al-Tabi'een, Allahu Akbar, never mind missing a prayer. With regards to the great Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, it is related for 50 years of his life, nor did he see the back of any man in prayer, and at the same time he did not miss takbir ula in prayer, meaning whenever the Imam started and said Allahu Akbar, he was in the front saf and he said Allahu Akbar with the Imam for 50 years of his life. Abbad ibn Bashir is standing before the Almighty Allah in prayer. Arrows are piercing his body one after the other. Blood is gushing out from his body. And as the arrow hits him in prayer, he takes out the arrow and he throws it away. He was reciting Surah Kahf, and he was getting such a buzz reciting Surah Al-Kahf that he continued reciting Surah Al-Kahf while the blood gushed out of his body. It was only when the thought crossed his mind that his death may jeopardize the safety of Rasulullah, because on that night he was keeping the guard on the camp and keeping an eye on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the thought crossed his mind that his death may jeopardize the safety of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, only then did he break his prayer. The likes of Khubayb is taken to the gallows to be executed, and the kuffar are asking him to make his last wish. Last wish, Allahu Akbar. You know, you and I maybe would probably want to make our last will. And Khubayb is asked to make his last wish. And he's saying to the kuffar, allow me to offer 2 rakats and stand before my Creator so I can converse with him. And when he finishes offering these 2 rakats, he says to the kuffar, had it not been for the fear that you people think that Khubayb is afraid of death, I would have asked you to allow me to stand before my Creator again so I can speak with him and converse with him before I go to meet him. The likes of Rabi was paralyzed, and even then he would be carried to the masjid for salah, and the people would turn around to say to Rabi, "Oh Rabi, you are ma'zur, you're an invalid, you don't have to come. Allah has given you rukhsah, you can read your prayer at home." He would turn around to the believers and say, indeed, you're bang on right. I don't have to come to the masjid. Allah has given me idhn, Allah has given me permission to read it inside my house. But when a person hears the call, hayya ala salah, hayya ala al-falah, come to success, then one should come to the masjid even if he has to crawl on his knees. The likes of Thabit al-Bunani, never mind praying in this world. This was the dua of Thabit al-Bunani. He would make dua to the Almighty Allah. "Yo Allah, if you allow anyone to pray inside his grave, I beg you allow Thabit al-Bunani to pray inside his grave." If this was his dua with regards to the next world, how do you think this person must have lived his life? The likes of Sila ibn Ashim has just married Mu'adha al-Adawiyah. First night of marriage, my young friends, you know, you and I, first night of marriage, we'll probably be on the 7th heaven, seeing stars. Sila ibn Ashim has just married Mu'adha al-Adawiyah. First night of marriage, husband and wife spend the entire night before their Creator in prostration. Mu'adha al-Adawiyah was such a woman that after fulfilling the rights of her husband every night, the thought would cross her mind that this is the night in which I will die and I will meet my Creator, and as a result she would thereafter spend the entire night standing before her Creator in worship. When it came to seeking knowledge, my friends, the world will never find men with such zeal, even right till the day of judgment. You know, today deen has become an easy thing. Everybody's got the internet. Yeah, no verification of the sources. Everybody today, you've got a Maulvi Google. Everyone's a scholar. And you had the likes of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiyallahu ta'ala an. This was knowledge, and this was appreciation of knowledge. That he traveled all the way from Medina to Munawwara to Egypt. And in them days, my friends, all they had was camels and horses to sit and get there. And it would take about a month to get there. He travels all the way from Medina to Munawwara to Egypt just for the sake of one hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when he gets to Egypt, Sayyidina Uqba, who was the narrator, embraces him and asks, "Ma ja'a bika ya Aba Ayyub?" "O Abu Ayyub, what brought you all the way from Medina to